Welcome back. I am Jen Potter of Networking Now, and I am joined by Jeff Wood. And throughout the segments, we have talked about so many different things. He is a fractional CFO and a serial entrepreneur. He owns several businesses and he does it effortlessly. As he works a lot, he has realized that fractional CFOs are super important in businesses because, as he stated before, people are paying upwards of $450,000 for a CFO, which is absolutely insane. It made me rethink my life choices. No, I'm just kidding. But with that said, we have talked about the value in networking and developing strong relationships. And that was so important to talk about. And as we kind of continue on a little bit and the value of networking, establishing a really strong relationship, we said it earlier as well. I don't trust anybody with my money, and we have to be super cautious when we are building our business. Every penny counts, and I think it's really important to emphasize that and why it's so important. But having someone who has a really strong skill set will help us to grow our business. And one of the things that you said that was really interesting on the commercial break when we were saying, hey, what are some of the things that we want to talk about? You mentioned about, I think and you were very fast when you said it, and you were like, all CFOs, fractional CFOs should offer a money back guarantee. And I was like, ooh, I'm like, I definitely think that they should, but not everybody's going to agree with you. And that's perfectly okay because everybody does their business different. But I want you to jump in and just start talking about why that is so important, the value add, the ROI, and all of those fun things when we're hiring a CFO or fractional CFO.
Yeah, no, you're right. Not everybody is going to feel the same way. And in fact, I've heard from some of the business owners that I've consulted with that they think this is a terrible idea because they think some businesses will try to learn everything they can from me and then just fire me and get the last quarter's, fees back, which is hilarious. But I do think there's a few things. A money back guarantee not only allows um, a level of comfort with a small business or with an owner when they're getting ready to hire you, but it also opens the door for us as well. Because the truth is, we're going to sign an engagement letter that's 12 months, and I can't, if I'm working with a business owner, and there are a few out there who really enjoy the way things have been done for the last 5 or 6 or 7 or 20 years, and don't necessarily want to make some of the changes, and don't necessarily believe some of those projections, like you were saying about trust. It's not just trusting where all of your pennies are going, but that the pennies I tell you we could make if we make these decisions or that will come in will actually come in. And so if we have that sort of a relationship, then the truth is I'm not going to help you grow your business. I'm not going to increase your bottom line. And if I can't, that's going to frustrate me as much as it frustrates you. And so that money back guarantee gives you the opportunity anytime to let me go, but it also gives me the freedom, if I'm not helping, to be let go, which is important. And another important piece of the fractional CFO business, where it's a little bit different than I think some of your other hires, is a fractional CFO business should net you more money than they cost. If you're paying $36,000 a year for a fractional CFO to come in and help you and help you budget or help you with cash flow forecasting and help you with these business decisions, you should make 2, 3, 4, 5 times that on your bottom line, using their advice. You should not be looking forward to firing them and getting your money back. You should be excited you have them. So, and a good
Right.
partnership, and a lot of trust is built by and partnerships formed when you have that sort of option at the get-go.
Now, let me ask you this because I think that this is a really interesting part that I thought of when you said that. So, say you're working with a business that maybe they're not for you as a
Mhm.
fractional CFO, and how do you manage? And I don't know if this is part of like your growth strategy already, but how do you manage that type of relationship and then also be able to keep that so it could be so you have a relationship beyond that? Because I know there are clients that I've had to let go because they weren't necessarily for me. And as a fractional CFO, if you find that, it's not working,
Mhm.
how does that work?
Yeah. So um, if we have a 12-month engagement, right? So we are committed to helping and working with business owners for 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at that point, when the end of that engagement isn't for us to increase fees and do a bunch of other crazy things. It's really for us to revisit we've done some goal setting, right? And some goal tracking. Are we moving in the right direction? Is my communication style working for you? Are you able to implement the things that I recommend? And do we want to continue the partnership? Because you're right. There are just different personality types, and it may be that we're profitable for each other, but it doesn't necessarily make sense for us to continue. So for us, we are committed to 12 months, at a time, and so we will not let somebody go unless, of course, they're doing something fraudulent or illegal. But we won't let somebody go without giving them the opportunity to work through 12 months. Because let's be honest, some of these business owners, they've been running their business successfully for 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. And I show up and I say, hey, let's try this new thing. It may take 3 or 4 months before it sets in and we've built that trust and they're willing to make that change, because it's a big step for them. I mean, that's their baby, right? They built that business from nothing. And like I said, if you're at the point where you're hiring a fractional CFO and getting excited to grow even further, then you're doing it successfully. You have done a good job, and for you to trust somebody could take some time. So we'll hash out, and we'll meet a couple times a month, and we'll hash out the differences and see if we can't work through them. But that's something we revisit at that annual sort of meeting.
I like that, and I like that, you saying, giving them the opportunity, to find that growth. And I think that that's important, because sometimes people are expecting this instant gratification, and it's not always instant, right? There's that learning curve, and I think that that's really important. But I think if you vet out your clients the right way when you're, establishing those relationships, like through networking, through, however you're deciding to do that. And I think as you're building the relationships, I think as the trust starts to build prior to a working relationship, it's kind of already understood. Um, and I think, especially after, knowing you for as long as I have, you make it very clear about what you do and what your expectations are, even when you're just in a regular conversation. And that's really important to know, that you're the same person, both that you're having a drink with, but also the same person that you are when you're doing all of the work. And that's really important, I think, when establishing those relationships.
Yeah, and
And
I
oh,
also think it's important. Not, I think it's important to understand that I have my role, and I know kind of what my role is, and my role is not to help an owner run their business, the operations of the business, right? I'm to give financial advice, not judgmental advice. I'm not here to say you shouldn't have bought that vehicle, you shouldn't have hired that person, you shouldn't be taking your family on a vacation, you're spending too much, you don't need a Gucci watch. Like, I'm not here for that. I'm not here for
well,
any.
what if I want to Gucci? No, I'm just kidding.
Welcome to have that. It's my goal for you to be able to do all of those things and afford it and grow the business, right?
Right.
So it's non-judgmental as well, and that's important for business owners to know. We're not here to change everything that you're doing or try to get you to do anything differently. We're here to get you the growth that you want, in the lifestyle that you want, in the business that you want. Not change everything. That's what you've already built, a successful business. It's our job to help you grow it. That's all.
And I love that. And I think that's so important. And I know before, earlier on, we talked about the importance of the business, what a CFO is, what a fractional CFO is. But more specifically, maybe we can kind of get into the nitty-gritty of what type of services that CFOs actually do, and things that you're able to offer. Because maybe, I think being fractional too, it allows you to kind of pick and choose some of the things that you may need or not need for your business, because assuming every business is different, right?
Yeah.
So I would love for you to go, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. So, what a fractional CFO really should be doing is developing a financial strategy for you, right? And so, what does that mean? Sure, it's like some budgeting. It's a financial statement analysis, which no business owner wants to spend very much time spending on. But it's like, hey, this is where your balance sheet was last month. This is where your balance sheet is now. This is where your P&L was. This is where it is. That's the kind of the basic stuff. And then
Mm-hmm.
we call that like the detailed P&L review, a detailed balance sheet review. But then from there, we get into like cash flow projections, and kind of flexible or variable cash flow projections, budget creating, goal tracking, where we sort of nudge you along. And probably one of the things that the small business owners like the most is kind of being the financial quarterback, although I was a defensive player, so I prefer financial middle linebacker, where we'll head up that communication for you. We'll talk to your bookkeeper. We'll talk to your CPA. We'll talk to your bank. We'll talk to your whatever financial institution you're working with. We'll handle that conversation about refinancing your debt or about investing your cash in short-term, some sort of short-term, so that you can get some money while it's just sitting there waiting to be paid out in payroll. And so we'll have the conversation with the CPA, or we'll have the conversation with the bookkeepers when they're messing up journal entries. We're not here to tell you to do more work. We're here to take some work off of your plate. So that's probably, that last part is probably the most exciting one for most business owners.
That is. And it's funny because with all of the things that you said, I was going to comment and be like, that's exactly what I need, right? And I'm the first person to tell other business owners that they need to offload their responsibilities. If it's not, I mean, if you're better off doing something else that can grow the business money, like your job is to be the CEO of your business, you have to hire people to do the other things to continue to grow. And business owners, sometimes they're like, well, if I'm not the one that does it, then it's not going to get done. And mindset is, how much does it cost to pay somebody to do their job the right way, and how much money are you bringing in if you're bringing in a new client? And changing that mindset is so important. And I think having someone such as yourself that understands the value of that really helps that growth mindset. And and every time I have those types of conversations, with the organizations that I work with and any of the other CFOs or fractional CFOs, and it's so important. And the more and more that I think about it, like I'm working on a project coming up, and one of the things that I put as a line item, it is for a fractional CFO, because it is just so important to be able to have someone to help you manage that growth strategy. So I love that, and I love that there's the specifics in it. And so what I would love for you to do is tell everybody again who you are, what your businesses are, how to get a hold of you, in case that this is something that they want to learn. Who do you service? I think that that's really important too. Do you have a specific person that you service that's out there? Is there a specific area that you service? Tell everybody all of the things.
Sure. Yeah. So for who do we service? I think that's probably very important, right? So we specialize in the service industry. So everything from software as a service to, like I said, landscaping, right? Or, plumbing, construction, any of those businesses who historically didn't even know this was an option to help them grow their business. When we talk about size of these companies, so that we're not hampering their other operations, we really should have clients that have a top line revenue of somewhere around 500,000 up to 15 million or so. Those people, we have 3 different tiers of packages that we can fit people into. And essentially the way that the relationship will start is somebody will reach out to us either on, most frequently on LinkedIn, but through our email and the website as well. And we'll sit down with them and we'll speak to them for about an hour, learn as much as we can about them as a person, learn about their business, learn about their passion, learn about their fears, their goals. And then after listening to all that, we'll let them know if we can help them with these things, honestly, if we can, and if we can, what, perhaps what we recommend. And then, we'll talk more about ourselves and how we will do the things that we do. So, and essentially the business grows from there. And of course, that first conversation is as much an interview of us as it is an interview of them, right? And where they'll get to know us, they'll get to know the tools we use, they'll get to know what our plan is. And they'll learn, and they'll be bringing us on essentially as a partner, somebody to help out with that sort of financial back end piece as they continue to grow that operational front end piece.
I love that. I love that so much. I love all the stuff that you do. I'm a big fan and supporter of all of the businesses. And I am so grateful that you came on today to talk about all of those things. So you know how to get a hold of him. If you can't get a hold of him, you can get a hold of me, reach out to me, and I'll be able to get you in contact. But having a fractional CFO is super important. So if you're a small business owner and you're, starting to get bigger and you want to go bigger, definitely reach out. You won't regret it. And if not, it'll be a great conversation regardless, right? So thank you so much for joining us today. Again, we have Jeff Wood here of Safe Harbor CFO Services. And if you need to get a hold of him, you have his website, you have all of his information. My name is Jen Potter. I am the host of Networking Now. Until the next one, have a great day.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.